We're Malin and Johan, a Swedish couple that have been sailing full-time since 2016. After 3.5 years of sailing, we welcomed our daughter Vera on board. Most recently, we bought a farm in Sweden where we are going to build our dream boat ourselves from scratch. Welcome aboard and please subscribe for weekly episodes.
As you can see, I've been pretty
In previous episodes, you've seen us finishing the temporary hull frames, and when we demolished the table to make space for the Strongback. The Strongback will be the foundation on which we build the hull.
And once the Strongback is finished and in level and everything is done with that, we will put the temporary frames, the legs on those, up on top of these wooden beams. It will look something like this. So we think we are at the phase in the build where it's a good idea to put up a camera to capture a long-term time lapse of the whole boat build. So I'm going to do that today. So we get that up before we actually start the build of the Strongback. And I think I'm going to put it up in that corner because from there we can capture the whole boat from the stern to the bow. We're going to take one picture every 15 minutes. So hopefully that will give us over a year a 12-minute long video or so, if we take away some of the frames during the night, because it will run continuously. Put a cable up there so I can hook it up to a power source. So I think that will be really cool to see later on, the progress, how far we'll go with the build during 1 year. I think that's a good start. 1 year time lapse from today.
Johan takes measurements for the holes where the rods will be placed. There will be 18 rods to hold up the Strongback, which means 18 holes in the floor.
So I've mixed this epoxy with the fastest hardener, so it's supposed to cure all the way down to 2 Celsius. And today it's quite warm actually, for being this time of the year. It's around 4 to 5 degrees. So if everything goes according to plan, this should have cured until tomorrow morning. But the night is coming now, and of course the temperature might drop a little bit. But I think we'll be all right.
Johan mounts temporary posts for support until the epoxy has cured.
So it's been 18 hours now since I mixed up the epoxy yesterday to use for the threaded rods. And I was a bit worried last night because the temperature dropped below freezing. So I kind of counted on that maybe I have to redo all of this. Maybe the epoxy haven't set. But to my surprise, it's fully cured. My guess is that the temperature here in the concrete stayed well above the 2 Celsius that the epoxy needs to be able to cure. Yeah, some of you told us that you were a bit worried that the concrete here wasn't thick enough for the threaded rods. But as you can see, that won't be a problem since we use these washers here on top. So the actual load will be over this whole surface area and not just under the epoxy through the concrete. So that shouldn't be a problem. And I only went through the concrete in a few places. I think it was 2 holes down there. For the rest here, it's looks like it's around 15 centimeters thick. And the plan for today is to continue with the Strongback, the piece up in the front, the more narrow part. Will look more or less the same, but these two will sit tighter together. So I have a few more holes, a few more threaded rods that will go into the concrete. And then I guess tomorrow it's time to get everything in level. Here you can see the epoxy that I mixed yesterday. I'm kind of amazed really that it cured so well with that amount of time when it's this cold. So it's a huge difference between the fast and the slow or normal hardener. Would have been no problem gluing the hull together if we're having like 5 Celsius in here. The reason I'm using this is just that it makes it easier to get the hole in a vertical position. Without this, if you're just using the machine freehand, it's just so easy to not be in a straight line vertical.
All the holes are made and the rods and beams are in place. Things are really coming together. I haven't seen the Strongback, like the whole Strongback like this. Let's check on if the epoxy has set. The one we put out yesterday. Is it here?
Yes.
Oh, it has. It's dried.
I was surprised actually because it's been really cold this night.
Yeah, it was even colder this night than the day before.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can continue. Now it's time to level all the beams.
To get all the beams at the same level, we will use the laser together with the receiver, together with the stick. So we can use the laser at this height. Now we'll put the stick on the beam on various places, and we will adjust everything with the threaded rods or the nuts underneath here. And when that's done, we're going to brace everything so it can't move sideways like this, and also underneath. 15 or 14 millimeters off at this point. 22 millimeters. The good thing with having a receiver like this is that it will see the laser beam even if you don't. And it's very bright in here right now, so it's kind of hard to see the laser beam, but this receiver will pick it up. One more.
1 millimeter. Okay. So, yeah.
There we have it.
First beam is in level. Now that these two beams are in level, we're putting on washers, nuts, and then we're going to tighten the whole thing so that they will stay in place. And then we're probably going to put on the brace underneath as well. We should have had 14 people now who could just screw on all these nuts, because it takes quite a lot of time. We could of course have cut these, but yeah, we haven't. There was a lot of measuring and adjusting.
I'm doing a last check and everything seems to be okay. We tried to keep the Strongback within 1 millimeter in level, but we really don't need that because all the frames, the temporary frames that goes on the Strongback needs to be leveled as well. But the more precise we are now with the Strongback, the less work it will be later on with the temporary frames.
We came up with a way on how to brace the Strongback. We'll make a simple A-frame underneath the beams to give support sideways.
So it's late afternoon and Malin had to go away to pick up Vera. But I have decided I will continue and work the whole evening, maybe some of the night, to try to finish the whole Strongback today. All the legs are now on and it's really sturdy now, the whole construction. No movement at all from side to side, and I have to say it feels really solid, the whole Strongback. Next up, I will cut these threaded rods, and I'm thinking I might put a second nut on top here just to lock everything up even more. This is the tool I will use to cut all the threaded rods. It's a metal bandsaw, and the nice thing with this is that it won't give off any sparks, which is a plus in a dry old wooden barn. So I think that's it for tonight. I'm very pleased on how it turned out. There are some smaller things, but I'll fix that tomorrow together with Malin.
Ut med andra armen. Håll den armen rakt ut. Så ja, så du håller balansen. Rakt ut.
Juice.
Kan du säga apple juice?
Apple.
Ska kameran smaka? Är det bra att gå på den? Ja. Vera has approved of the Strongback. We managed to finish a job in one episode. That feels great. One step further in the boat building process, and next up is actually now to place out the temporary hull frames. So it will be forming as kind of a skeleton on top of the Strongbacks. The 22 frames will be placed here. It's been a very productive 7 days. Last weekend we picked up the timber and then we filmed all that, and now we have finalized the Strongback.
Mama.
Hey. In 2 days we're driving down to Germany and Düsseldorf to visit the boat show there, which is going to be really fun. So this video is coming up while we're at the boat show, and when we come back here to the farm, we're going to start with placing out the temporary hull frames. We hope to meet a lot of you at the boat show, and the rest of you will see next Friday. Take care!